Hey, good Thursday morning, everyone. This is Joe. Welcome to my scripture reflection for this Thursday, December the 1st. We are in the last month of 2022. I don't need to say how time goes by so fast. We all know that. We all know, too, that there are lots of things that happen in each year that we reflect back on. And usually we look back at the storms that took place, the literal storms, the figurative storms, those that had an effect on us, had an impact on our lives. So the question today that we will look at in the gospel is there a positive impact to some of these storms? Well, the answer is an obvious yes, but we need to delve into the gospel to see just how much and how we can really make the most of these positive impacts. So I'm going to ask you to quiet your minds and hearts as we prepare to hear today's gospel, which is from St. Matthew chapter 7, verse 21 and 24 to 27. Jesus said to his disciples, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. Everyone who listens to these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on rock. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and buffeted the house, but it did not collapse. It had been set solidly on rock. It did not collapse because it had been built solidly on rock. And everyone who listens to these words of mine but does not act on them will be like a fool who built his house on sand. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and buffeted the house, and it collapsed and was completely ruined." One thing I always loved about Jesus' parables where he always gives you room to think further, always room to take the example that he gives and kind of play it out, if you will. And I always found that valuable, and that was his expectation. His expectation was, I'm going to give you a little bit as a seed in your mind, and then I want you to germinate it. I want you to work with it. So let's try to work with it a little bit today together because this is an important one. And as I said in my introduction, storms do come into our life. And yes, no doubt about it that when we're built on a solid foundation, well, we're going to survive that storm. But could there be, when we do have that solid foundation, could there be an actual benefit to the storm? Well, as I said in my intro as well, yes, there is. And here are a few examples. We all remember the horrible day of 9/11, some 21 years ago plus now. When that happened, it was the ultimate storm, right? So many people affected, died, injured, lost loved ones. But think about the foundation that came into play and the amount of compassion and love that emanated through the world when that happened. Now, we're not looking for these storms in literal or figurative sense, don't get me wrong, but when they come, there's a question, is there a positive impact? And there was a positive impact with so much compassion that took place during that time. I mean, people were so kind to one another, it was noticeable and refreshing, even in light of the negative storm. Now let's look at the storm that was the gas chamber that took my Daniel's life. And he got his life back, didn't he? He got his life back from God because God wanted him to live somehow. And what was the positive effect of that storm? Well, we certainly looked back and said that all these poor animals that died by the use of this gas chamber, and it was a storm that brewed up again in our minds and hearts of how horrible that was. But his survival kind of got the foundation together, and so many animals were saved. So many animals were adopted. So many states did away with the gas chamber, and the list goes on. So yes, there are some situations where there is a positive impact from a storm that takes place. But what do we need? Here's the key. What do we need? We need that solid foundation that Jesus talked about in the gospel. And what is that solid foundation? It is He Himself, integrated into our life, integrated into our words, integrated into our actions. And then the storms that start with us and ripple out into the world can have even more of a positive effect when we realize that we are emanating Christ in everything we do. That must be the component, or else the foundation will not survive. And even if it does, it survives for just a while, because then the storms do take it out. But when Christ is there and present in our life and we have a consistency, then yes, we can see some positive impacts from storms. And guess what? It's up to us to keep them going throughout our life. My friends, that's my message for you today. I hope it was helpful. I hope you can take it into your day, into your weekend, share it with others. Maybe look at some storms that happened in your life. Share on this page your thoughts with me on how maybe you did see some positive impacts from them. Share with others. Let's build this community. I really want to keep it going because we are looking to redefine happiness in our life so that we can make peace and compassion a reality for all creation. I'm going to be taking a few days off, but I'll see you back here on Sunday. And it will be a pre-recorded. I'm scheduled to be away for a few days, so you will have some pre-recorded gospel reflections that will be posted here on my page about 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time each day. I wish you all a wonderful Thursday. Take care. See you back here soon.